Okay, so that was totally me testing out my microphone, but I'm keeping that in because it sounds ridiculous. So, welcome everybody to the Frank Life. I am Frank coming at you from Seattle, Washington, where we are just finishing up Pride Month here. So, I didn't post an episode last week because I was celebrating Seattle Pride and it was so much fun. I was able to go to the parade and attend some of the block parties and be around a lot of my friends and meet some new awesome people. And I'm just really grateful to live in such a city that is warm, inclusive, and accepting. So for those of you who are LGBT and listening to the show, know that you are loved, you are worthy, and you are deserving of an incredible life. And for those of you who are allies of the community, thank you for your support. It means a lot to have you be a part of our journey, and even the simplest thing of just reaching out to an LGBT person in your life and telling them, hey, I just want to let you know that you matter to me and I love you, means the world. Because sometimes people who are allies are not really sure what they can do to help out, and sometimes it's the littlest things that mean the most. So tell your gays that you love them and they will love you for it. Anyway, welcome to The Frank Life. This is a podcast inspiring you to take charge of your relationships, career, and financial success. And if you're new here listening, wondering, what the heck is this guy all about? I do leadership development, coaching, and training, where I provide talks and leadership development programs at organizations around the U.S., and I also run a private coaching practice where I support successful people who are feeling stuck in an area of life. And one of those areas is the focus of today's episode. So in this episode, I'll be coaching a guest on the air who wants to cut through their stress so they can create positive change in their lives. All guests are real people with real challenges, and it is my intention to be as frank as I can be with them so they can move forward with confidence and clarity. Now, before I introduce our guest today, I have a question for you. When in life have you had a big goal or a dream, but you were wondering in the back of your mind, what's my family going to think about this? Will they support me? What if they don't really approve? Or what if I upset them? Well, first of all, this is really normal because we all, at some point in our lives, especially our childhood, want to be perfect in our parents' eyes. But where that gets in our way is when we don't honor our deepest desires. So we're not raised to be little mini-me's of our parents. We're raised to become whole, independent people with our own visions and goals. However, that becomes challenging when the guilt of letting down the people we care about holds us back from pursuing our dreams. And if you've ever felt that kind of guilt, this episode is for you. Today's guest is Lindsey, and she's been following in the footsteps of her family for pretty much her entire life. She's had the same goals and desires as her parents, and now she's deciding to take a new path of starting her own business and having this guilt creep up behind her, telling her she shouldn't be leaving her family behind. And she's concerned that in her pursuit of starting a business, she's going to lose the support and approval of her parents. Now, if you listen closely, you'll see how by the end of our call, Lindsey comes up with a way to follow her dreams and still have gratitude towards her family rather than guilt. And as a result of that, she finds a way to open up to them about her goals rather than keeping them a secret. And on that note, get ready, get set, and enjoy the show. Hello, hello, hello. Who is calling in?
Hi, Frank. This is Lindsey. I'm calling in from Atlanta.
Hello, Lindsey from Atlanta. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I'm also super excited to support you. So what is it that you're calling in for?
So the reason that I'm calling in is I am starting a business, and I'm really nervous about talking to my family, in particular my parents, about this decision in my life.
Well, first of all, big congrats to take that leap of faith and begin to start a business. That's got to be exciting, but also scary when it comes to the important people in our lives who obviously want the best for us. So it makes sense you'd have some nervousness show up for you. What would you say the nervousness?
Yes.
What would you say the nervousness is about?
The nervousness is about wanting them to support me and I'm very close with them. We live about 5 minutes away from each other. I see them a lot, and I want them to be a part of this like new venture in my life. And I want them to be excited for me, and I want to be able to share it with them, versus feeling like they don't approve and having this be a topic that we can't talk about.
Well, it definitely sounds like you guys have a very tight connection, your parents and you, and it's got to be a little bit painful to perhaps think about the possibility of not having their support and approval as you really take this big risk of going down the track of starting your own business. So when you said, I really want them to support me and approve me, what does having their support and approval look like?
Let's see. Having their support and approval would look like, I guess, when we have conversations that I can really naturally talk to them about, like, hey, guess what? I just reached this goal. I just got a new client, and they would be genuinely excited for me. Sometimes in the past, I've felt that when they haven't supported something, I'm really self-conscious about talking about certain topics. For instance, I moved in with my boyfriend recently, and they tried to be supportive, but they didn't agree with my decision. And I felt like it was something that I couldn't talk about. I couldn't bring that up, because I sensed a lot of tension coming from them whenever we talked about it.
So when you feel tense around them, you kind of avoid bringing up certain topics, which makes a lot of sense. Now, what is the thought that you have going into that situation where you're with your parents that's creating the tension for you?
The thought would be, I don't want to upset them, so I'm not going to bring this topic up.
Okay. You don't want to upset them. Say a little bit more about what you might upset them about.
Okay. In this particular case, I feel with starting a business, I feel like they have given me so much, and with raising me and helping me to go to college, and I've so far I've made a lot of progress in goals that are very similar to their goals, if it makes sense. And this new venture is something that's a lot different from what they have wanted for themselves. So part of me feels like if I go for this and take this completely new route, that it'll feel like I'm not showing how grateful I am to everything that they've done for me.
So I feel like we're getting somewhere here.
Yeah.
Okay. So why is it important for you to express to your parents how grateful you are for all they've done?
That's a really good way to put it. They've done so much for me that they didn't have to do. And I mean, I know they do it because they're my parents and they love me, but I think especially when I was younger, I didn't really show them how grateful I was. And so now that I'm older, I really want to show them how much it meant to me that they did everything that they did.
Wow. So what's interesting, if I can just make an observation, Lindsey, is what started off as I would love to have support and approval from my parents has now become a discussion around, I just really want to show them how grateful I am for how much they've given to me in my life.
Yeah. And that is not, I did not realize that I mean, I knew I was grateful to them, but I never made that connection between those two ideas.
Hmm. Yeah, so it sounds like there's possibly a connection where your decision to not pursue a similar path to them, because you've done that so far, where you've had similar goals and you've kind of followed a bit in their footsteps, that your decision to now go off on a different path means that you are ungrateful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how true is that? That because you are starting your own business, you're an ungrateful child?
It's really not true. Even if I'm not directly using the skills that I learned at school, I'm indirectly using a lot of skills, like being able to figure things out on my own. So I guess I want to show them that I still got a lot of value out of everything that they did for me too. And that I'm still that it's helping me, that what they gave me is helping me in this new venture of my life.
Yeah. So it really sounds like in order for you to move forward with your business with more clarity, with more perhaps even focus, that you really want to express to your parents that what they've given you so far has inspired you to go on this journey, and that this is a journey that you're not doing to leave them behind, but to honor all that it is that they offered while raising you.
Yes. And I love that you said that they're kind of my inspiration, because I think that's so true. I mean, even if I don't want the same things as them, a lot of the values that I have come from them. And that's what's led me to this new business.
Yeah, right. So in what ways have your parents inspired you?
They are really generous. They are always willing to do things for other people, me or anybody in their lives. They don't give up. They have goals that may be different from mine, but they work on those goals and they don't stop. And also just their sense of humor, never letting anything get not too serious, but too bogged down. They always remember to have fun.
What it sounds like is they have demonstrated for you what it's like to have drive and dedication towards goals, the importance of generosity, and also the value of having fun and just laughing.
Yeah.
So clearly your parents mean so much to you, and they have been such a significant piece of the puzzle when it's come to you having the courage to be able to start and pursue your own business.
Yeah, and I think courage is another thing that they show a lot as well.
Yeah. So before, you said sometimes when you were around your parents, you would feel tense. You would feel perhaps nervous because you were worried that you were kind of coming across as ungrateful to them. And as a result of that concern, you would kind of avoid talking about certain elements of your business.
Yes.
So given what we've explored here, what's a new thought that you'd like to have when it comes to your parents?
I would love to be thinking that I can include them in this journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does that say about you to have the desire to include them in your journey?
Well, it shows that I really love them and I want them I care about them a lot, and I want them to be a part of this big decision in my life. And it shows that there's a lot more just in the goal. There's a lot more that's deeper, and like deeper values and qualities that we really have in common.
So recognizing all that you have in common, all of these shared values that align with the journey that you're on.
Yes.
And when you focus on that, how do you feel?
I feel really grateful. I feel grateful to them, and to myself, and to you for helping me realize that. But I really feel grateful.
I can feel the gratitude. This is an awesome fun to have.
It feels good.
Yeah. And okay, so as you feel so much more grateful now to yourself and also to your parents, how would you maybe engage with them differently the next time you are around them?
I think I would feel a lot less guilt. Guilt, no more guilt that I'm not showing my gratitude. And I think I would just be in a better mood, just be more willing to talk, because I don't have to worry about avoiding that tension. It would just be more natural conversation.
Right. And if you were to take that one step further and just kind of envision what kind of conversations you might be having with them and how those conversations might be different from the ones where you kind of avoid talking about the business and you don't want to say too much because you don't want to come across as ungrateful. When you imagine these conversations, you're in a better mood, you're more willing to open up to them. What's one thing you might share?
I would share, that's a good question. I think I would share more of what my goals are in my business. Mm-hmm. Because since I want them in this journey with me, I would want to share the little successes with them, the day-to-day things that go on.
Nice. So you'd be sharing more about the little celebrations, the little successes of the business.
Yeah.
And how would that positively change the dynamic of your relationship with them?
I think that would open the door to sharing a lot more with them, and to them sharing more with me too. And I think it would also help when another tough topic does come up. I would feel a lot more comfortable bringing it up with them, because I would know that I already have brought things up to them and they do understand, and we can talk about it, even if it's not what they would do. We can still have a meaningful conversation about it.
Love it. Now, before I let you go off the hook, I heard a little word there that I just want to poke around a little bit. And it came up saying that you were going to feel more grateful to them and yourself. You'll open up to them more. But then you also said, and I'd also feel less guilt around them.
Yes.
Yeah. And you didn't mention that word before, because guilt is pretty powerful. And we experience guilt a lot, especially when it comes to people close to us, right? Our family, because of how we should be around them or who they want us to be, rather than being who we actually are. So in what ways do you sense the guilt has been creeping up for you?
For me, it's been guilt about having not shown more gratitude to them in the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's not really something I can go back and change. Right. So it doesn't make sense that I still feel guilty about it, but I still do.
Yeah. And that makes sense, right? Because if we have times in the past where we could have expressed gratitude, but we didn't, it's very natural to go back in our heads and think, oh, I should have said thank you there. I should have expressed appreciation there. And I can't change that anymore. So when you sit with that a little bit, because we really want to break through here and not have anything hold you back from rocking your business and also having an incredible relationship with your parents as you do so. So when you think back to some of those times when you should have been more grateful to them, what judgments do you make about yourself for not expressing appreciation during those times?
I think the judgment I'm making is that, I don't know, just that I could have said something and I didn't. So that must mean I wasn't grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. So that you were ungrateful. It sounds like that message that I'm ungrateful pops up in other places, especially when it comes to you doing what you want, which is starting a business, and it kind of a little message creeping up there saying you're ungrateful.
Yes.
So what's really the truth?
The truth is that I'm really grateful. I just didn't know how to show it at that point.
So you didn't know how to show it at that point. And when you don't know how to express, even if it's a feeling like gratitude, if you don't know how to express it in the moment, then of course you wouldn't, because you just didn't know better at the time. What can you tell yourself, Lindsey, to release that guilt and embrace what was and how grateful you are in this moment?
Realizing that I wasn't showing gratefulness because I didn't know how to is a big connection for me. I think just letting go of that, and now I do know how to show it, so I can, but it doesn't really matter about, 5-10 years ago when I didn't know how to show it.
Yeah. Anyone who doesn't really know how to express gratitude, which could be a vulnerable emotion to express, making it challenging. Anyone who is not really sure how to express that would struggle with it, So
yeah, it is really vulnerable.
It's vulnerable. Yeah. It's opening up your heart. And, sometimes that can be really tough. So given who you are and how much more aware you are of ways to express gratitude now, what's maybe something you can do to really demonstrate that you are grateful?
When I'm with my parents, I think just like hugging them more, and showing like physical touch, and showing gratitude that way would be really meaningful, because we're not really a big hugging family.
Nice. So that would be special. They would know that there's something special by you giving them the hug.
Yes.
Okay. So this is why I love coaching, because so many fun things pop up. And I am so excited to now hold you accountable to giving your parents a hug.
Me too.
So when do you want to let me know, Lindsey, perhaps in the near future when you see them again, that during that time you've given them a hug?
I'll let you know in about a week. We have some Father's Day celebrations coming up this week, so I will have several chances to practice that.
Beautiful. Okay. So life is giving you an opportunity right now to really stand in the truth of you being a grateful daughter, and also just reminding yourself of how your parents inspired this journey that you're on. And by you opening up to them more and sharing your business goals and successes and having some conversation about that, you're kind of inviting them in on that journey to be with you.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Nice. I can't wait to hear about how it goes.
Okay.
All right. So Lindsey, as we kind of wrap up here, what's the biggest takeaway that you have?
The biggest takeaway is how much they inspired me and in how many different ways they inspired me, how many of my values really come from them.
It sounds like what originally felt like to you as kind of moving against them and starting a business, it's actually you moving closer to them because you are allowing their inspiration to fuel your journey of having your own business.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Lindsey. It's been so fun to coach you.
Awesome. Thank you. That was very helpful.
And I also just want to thank you, Lindsey, for really opening up here about what would be really personal for a lot of people, which is exploring something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't always think about when they start their business is how are my family going to be affected by this? So by you coming to terms with that and exploring it here just demonstrates how much you value your family and how much you want to honor them in the process of creating a successful business. So thank you.
Well, thanks. It's nice to have another way to view it. Thanks, Frank.
All right. You take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And that's a wrap. So, wow, so many cool things to learn from this call. First of all, how cute that all it came down to at the very end was giving her parents a hug, and how sometimes the simplest actions are what matter the most. So another theme that we can learn from Lindsey is that pursuing our dreams does not necessarily mean losing the support of our loved ones. They do not have to be an either or, yet it's so common we think that we can either have one of the two, like we're making Sophie's choice. We want both, but we can only have one. And Lindsey was not saying, bye guys, I'm out. She was actually just changing her perspective around it in our call so that it was coming across as, hey, Mom, Dad, look at how you've inspired me to become the person I am today. Wow. And it was really beautiful to hear just how she saw an opportunity to express gratitude rather than experience guilt. So as we finish today's episode, think about what's something you really want but are worried that you might upset people close to you in pursuing that goal. What needs to happen in order for you to move forward without feeling the guilt? And last, if you let go of who you should be and embraced who you are, what would change about the way you live your life? New episodes are posted every Friday, so remember to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play so you do not miss the next one when it comes out. And if you are feeling stuck or stressed out in an area of life and want some support, I'd love to have you as a guest on our show. Head over to thefranklife.com/podcast to apply to be a guest on a future episode. Thank you again for being a listener and supporter of the show. As always, it has been great being frank with you. Ciao for now.